Can we start with you and just talk about what we saw in FP1 first of all and the impact of the new front wing technical directive? What were the drivers saying? How was the car to set up?
Well, the drivers were making all the usual comments about understeer and front grip and so on. So the change is reasonably subtle, but it is reasonably significant. Now, whether it's a same effect for each of the teams is difficult to tell, but yeah, you know, they were just working on getting a balance. It's incredibly hot out there, and so the tyres are getting a bit of a pounding, particularly now we're on the old circuit configuration. You know, their front left really gets a hard time around here. So I think it's going to take more than one session to see, you know, is there an impact, or if so, how's it affected the different cars?
Is there more head scratching for the engineers? Is the car harder to balance now as a result of this change?
It's again difficult to say. It didn't sound from the drivers' comments too different to a normal Friday. For sure, it is different, and I think there's a lot to understand. And it's probably on long runs as well as short runs that, you know, is it gonna play a factor here? So still early days, but the net effect to us has been rather small.
Okay. Now, Red Bull has a fantastic record here in Barcelona. Max Verstappen going for his 4th consecutive win here. Just how much confidence do you have coming into the weekend?
I mean, you've got to say McLaren have got to be the favourite here this weekend. They've looked incredibly strong throughout all the early races. We take a lot of you know, hope from the race we had in Imola, where we had, you know, great pace and we're able to win that race. But for sure, in these temperatures, they're going to be super competitive. Now, whether it's Lando or Oscar is difficult to say. But for us, what's crucial is we definitely try and take points off them this weekend. You know, we're only approximately a third of the way through the championship with a long way to go, but we need to start nibbling away at their points advantage.
As you say, there's still 2/3 of the championship ahead of us. Now, in the past, Barcelona has been a good barometer of a car's potential. Is that still the case?
Yeah, look, I think Barcelona it's a proper workout. You know, the high speed, medium speed, not so much low speed these days. But you know, if you've got a good working chassis, then you'll see that here. You know, particularly with the range of corners that there is, and also how hard the car is on the tyres. You know, that's going to be a crucial role in the race on Sunday.
Okay, Christian, thank you very much.
Ian Parks, Racing News 365. Question for yourself, Christian. Christian, that second seat alongside Max has always been very problematic to fill. Yuki's obviously got his opportunity at the minute, but we know he's out of contract at the end of this season. How impressed have you been with Isaac Hadjar so far this season? And could he be a possibility for even later this season if you decided to make yet another driver change, or for 26 perhaps?
I think I'm going to take a leaf out of Flavio's book and say, I don't want to answer it. Next question. Look, I mean, it's early days for Yuki. He's still settling in. He's been in Q3, scored points. He's scored points from the pit lane. He's had a few incidents as well. So, yeah, there's a long way to go. So we'll decide. We've got plenty of time on our side.
Jack Smith, Motorsport Monday, motorsportweek.com. Christian, Max said yesterday that he doesn't feel as if he's in a title fight at the moment. Do you share that sort of glass half empty approach of his, or do you still feel the fact that the McLaren pair are both competing against each other gives Max a sort of edge where he can chip away at both of them?
Well, look, we've got to make sure we keep in touch, and to beat them, we've got to start taking points off them. And so Imola was strong for us. Monaco was, wasn't a strong race for us. And they are the car to beat. You know, they've got 2 strong drivers, and the car's performing very well. So it's down to us to make improvements and get performance on the car over this summer part of the championship, and make sure that we hang on to their coattails, before the summer break, and try and build a bit of momentum. These press conferences were so boring before you came back. So
nothing changed in 20 years.
Nothing changed in 20 years.
Maybe a little bit people, white hair, everybody.
Or no hair.
Me and you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Isola still good looking.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the next question, shall we?
Yes,
Who's next? Yep.
I have a question for Christian Martin from NOS. I hope the question is not too boring, but you just talked about Yuki. What can a team do and what can you do to give this driver more confidence? Because that's something that's lacking now. But what can you give us some insights?
I think the only thing that we can do is give him time and support and try and get a setup that you know he's got confidence in. You know, driving these cars is all about confidence, and you know that's what he needs to find. And I think he'll get there. He's fast. He's just got to piece it all together. And I think you know we keep seeing flashes of performance, so we just need to see him put it all together. And I think he's capable of that.
All right, next one. Yep.
Lewis Larkham, Crash.net. Christian, there are rumours that Ferrari contacted you about potentially becoming team principal. Can you confirm if that's true or not? How far did the conversation go? And is becoming Ferrari team principal something that you would ever consider?
Well, look, I mean, of course, it's always flattering to be associated with other teams, but my commitment 100% is with Red Bull, and you know, it always has been, and certainly will be for the long term. There's a bunch of speculation about you know, always in this business, people coming here, going there, whatever, and I think people in the team know exactly what the situation is. I mean, my Italian is worse than Flavio's English, so you know, how on earth would that work?
Can we bring the other two in on this? Your thoughts on the mandatory two-stop in Monaco?
Maybe, you know, if we could knock a couple of your buildings down, get an overtaking spot in, because I don't think the problem are the tyres, are there? It's the track. You know, the cars are too big.
The car is too big
and the track's too small. Yeah, so it's a pretty simple equation. Yeah. But
Christian, on a serious note, what did you make?
I think, look, Monaco is Monaco, and the two-stop, it was worth it. I mean, the year before, if you remember, there was a red flag on that one, and nobody did anything, and it was just a display drive almost, that everybody just went round in order. This year, you had a race of two halves, and anybody at the back end back end of the top 10 was trying to slow everybody down to give a pit stop, and again, it was a little bit more jeopardy, but it didn't really solve the problem. I think we're tickling an itch here, and I think that if we want to change it, we've got to change something significantly. Maybe the chicane, you know, we need a bigger stop. We need maybe more space at Rascasse, or maybe there needs to be the ability, at least the hope of an overtake. You know, I think Max made a good comment after the race. He said, you know, maybe like Super Mario Karts, we should all be throwing bananas or something like that, because literally the drive, it's frustrating for them. You know, they get out of that race, they're not even sweating. They're not pushing. The race is really dictated by what happens on Saturday. And Monaco's a wonderful place to go. It's a brilliant event. It's just, I think we need to move with the times and say, okay, how can we create an overtake?
Luke Smith from The Athletic. Christian, just picking up on the fixes for Monaco, how far do we push it before it gets a bit too artificial in terms of what we do to try and make that race an improvement? Or do we just accept, look, this is going to be an exhibition, like Flavio said, people will still turn up, people still want to do business, and Sunday's just going to be Sunday?
I don't think you should ever give up. I think that for sure, you know, when you look how Monaco has changed, I mean, the pit complex and everything, they spent a huge amount of money there, and what they've developed over there, and it's, as an event, it is one of the pinnacle, if not the pinnacle on the calendar. It's the race that is the most famous on the calendar. It's the race that, you know, every fan wants to go to, and I think, you know, we shouldn't give up and just accept that it's Monaco, so you can't overtake. I think that you know, there's enough passion around Formula One and interest to say, okay, what can we do that's a little bit different? How can, you know, you've got to keep progressing, you've got to keep evolving, and I think, you know, that applies to all the circuits, including Monaco, because just the cars, even Formula 3 cars, are too big there in reality now.
Christian, should unsportsmanlike behaviour be punished, like what we saw in Monaco on Sunday?
Yeah, but there's a big difference. Was that unsporting, or was that just part of the rules? I mean, that's like, you know, that's entirely permitted. Formula One is a team sport. It's the biggest team sport in the world, and, you know, the drivers drive for the team at the end of the day, and so you can understand if they're instructed to drive slowly to assist another car to score points, they're going to do it. Yeah, I don't think there was anything unfair about what happened. Nothing breached the regulations. Was it what was intended? No. But it's a consequence of you introduce something else. Teams will always find a way to try and maximize it, and that was what came out of it.